What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another AR tutorial. We have here some esteemed members of the AR community. We're going to be hanging out this evening, talking about PopPunkPokemon YouTube's infamous style that he's been using for a while now. Does it predate your playthrough of Red and Blue?
Yes.
Okay, so over a year, easy. It's a very, I like to think of it as kind of like a comic book look almost. It's kind of like a mix between photography and art. We are joined tonight by, of course, JC, Pop Punk Pokemon YouTube, here on my left. On my right, Mythical Lae Snaps. Down on the bottom from left to right, we got Steve, aka Pokemon LDN AR, PeloPogo, and Geostorm, also known as Augmented Naturally. How y'all doing this evening?
Very well. What's up, guys? Nice to see you again.
All right, so for this evening's edit, we will all be using two apps, both on Android and iOS, both free, PicsArt and Snapseed. I believe we'll be starting in Snapseed.
Correct.
Correct. So give you guys a second, pick out a picture if you want to edit along at home with the video, and kick it off with Justin. Take it away.
Cool. Everybody got their grass type Pokemon?
Or Shadow, you know, if you want to be weird.
So what we're doing tonight is a Giga Drain edit. So let me go ahead and get my screen share going here, and I'll show you what I'm working with. Cool. All right. So I'm going to do Roselia because I think it's fun to make cute Pokemon look crazy and mess things up. Cool. Everybody ready?
Yep.
Ready.
Yeah.
All right, great. So let's first go into Snapseed and obviously pick out your photograph. And the first thing I always do is I go into Tools and I hit HDR. And the more tools they add, the harder it gets for me to find them.
Third row down, second in.
Thank you. Thank you. Seriously, I seriously do it every single day and I still have trouble finding it. Now, every photo is different, so there's a finesse to it. You can press and hold and move the slider left and right with your finger and adjust the strength of the filter. But if you're not satisfied with that, you can click on the little tile on the bottom there, and you can switch between nature, people, fine, and strong. And usually what I do is just kind of eyeball it and see which one I like best, and then adjust the strength accordingly. So for this one, because there's a whole lot of green, I think I'm going to go with nature, and then the strength, maybe around 26. And you can always check and see what it looked like before by clicking and holding, and it'll auto go back to the original before the edit, and then let go. So you just kind of click and hold, see what it was and what it became. So that's a pretty good start. Maybe I'll go a little higher, honestly. Cool. So I always start there. After that, I go back into Tools and I click on Drama. It's the little thundercloud. And usually I go with Drama 1. Sometimes I go with Drama 2, but I'm going to go with Drama 1. But this always I adjust. You'll notice it's a little less saturated. So if you click on the little tool there on the bottom, you can see the filter strength and the saturation. First thing I always do is pull the saturation back up, and then I mess with the filter strength. I typically try to go pretty strong on this particular filter because all the stuff that is super saturated because of the HDR, this will bring back out the highlights. And that's how you get these nice little, like, see these little layers of lights and darks around like the petals and her arms and stuff like that. You get these nice little layers, and those will come in handy later with other tools we're going to use in PicsArt. So that's pretty good there. And then if I'm feeling really crazy, I go back into tools and I hit tune image. That's the first one in the top left-hand corner. And you can go through and adjust brightness, contrast, saturation, ambiance, highlights, shadows, and warmth to your liking. So typically I try to bring up the brightness a bunch. I'll bring up the contrast a bunch as well. Saturation, I kind of mess with. Sometimes I pull it up a lot. Sometimes I pull it down a little. It depends on the photo. Adjust to your liking. Ambiance, I almost always pull up at least 10 to 15. Highlights, I pull up depending on the picture, but this one not too much. Shadows, I push down. Nice little dark. There we go. And that pulls out all those nice little dimensions and make it more look 3D. Warmth doesn't really matter, but occasionally, depending on the photo, you can mess with that. Today, I'm just going to leave it alone. Cool. And that's pretty much it for the Snapseed portion of the edit. Everybody satisfied with that?
Yep.
Ambiance is one of my favorite sliders.
I love that slider so much. All right, so as always, we export. Great. And now we jump over into PicsArt. And we boot up our new photo in PicsArt. Cool. So this is where the fun bit starts. Because we're doing a moveset edit today, we will do the comic book effects last. So this is the really fun part. So first thing I'm going to do is just kind of show you a trajectory of how I want you to use these tools. So don't mimic me yet. I'm just going to show you this real quick. All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to use a brush that's not in this tool set, but we're going to use it to draw from their mouth all the way just kind of like out in this general direction, right? So you kind of want maybe this like funnel kind of area. You want to fill up maybe that much or maybe about this much of the area with the tools that we're going to use later. Does that make sense? You see what I'm talking about? How you kind of want this just kind of this area filled up real nice. Cool. So I'm going to discard those changes. And the tool we're going to use to do that is brushes. So slide on over to brushes, and you'll see a bunch of different options in here. We're going to use 3 today. The first one I always start with is closer towards the middle, and it's these little kind of bokeh. You see that one there? It's next to the colored one. It's like the white ones, right? And if you click on the slider, you can adjust the size, okay? Now, obviously, we want to make it look like it's attacking the screen, right? The viewer. So what I start with are the smaller ones. So I start with real small, and the opacity, I'm going to bring up just a little bit. You still want it to be see-through. And then I zoom in, and I just kind of start small. You see how it just kind of paints on little things as you move your finger around? And then as you get further and further away, you adjust the slider to make it a little bigger, and you get these guys going a little more. And you'll notice, depending on your background, depending on what's around the Pokemon, it becomes harder and harder to see. So with that, adjust your opacity accordingly. And you get those little white dots to pop up, and eventually you get to a bigger spot closer to the screen, and you want those bigger little dots, right? Cool. Now, you see how in the top left corner there, it kind of put one up there. I don't really want one that far up because it kind of messes up the aesthetic I'm going for. So you just click on the little eraser tool and you can just kind of zap that guy out of there. And if any flyaways get around, you can use the eraser tool and just kind of get rid of those little dudes. All right, and that's the first tool. Now, I'm not really happy with the middle, so maybe I'll go back in with the middle bit and get these a little better. Oops. Slightly better. And then I had a nice little flyaway there too. There we go. So that's the general feel, right? It's just a matter of adjusting the size and adjusting the opacity depending on what you've got in front of you, because every picture is going to be different, right? And then when you're happy with that, just go ahead and hit apply. Go back into brushes. Now we're going to find a different one. It's similar to that one, but I like to use the white one first. You'll see why in a minute, because the next one is going to have some purples and some pinks in it. And having the white as a background will make those purples and pinks pop even more. It kind of adds like another extra layer there. Oh, they've added so many new brushes. Okay, where did they hide that one? It might be this one. I think it's this one. Yeah, that's one of them. Okay. All right. See, we had the bokeh, right? Now there's this one with the stars. I wish they had names so I could tell you. Everybody find that okay?
Yep.
Same thing. So going with the size, start small. And you see all these little spacey guys. Now this one kind of gets away from you. So just be careful. I'm going to bring my opacity down a little bit because it kind of adds a darker layer, which is cool, and it adds to the nice little spacey effect. But sometimes it can overpower, so just be careful with that. And you see those little purples that are starting to come out? That's what we're really aiming for. I love those little guys. And then I try and make it real big and get my little corner over here. And all these nice little purple dudes come out. And already we're getting somewhere, huh? Looks pretty cool. I'm pretty happy with that so far. So it's basically a finesse of going back and forth between those two. And then when I'm happy with the way that these two look, I go for a third brush. But let me get in here and get some of these middle guys a little more. Because it's like good, but not entirely. Pretty close. Maybe I'll bring some down here as well. And we really want these colors to stand out over everything else. Great, I'm gonna hit apply. Now the last brush I use is these little stars. So it's like maybe 10 in. It's this little guy here next to the flowers. And again, same thing, start with the small, and you'll see these little stars. And that kind of brings the white highlights back out again. Make them a little bigger, do the middle, and then biggest, and do the big ones out here. See how it kind of brightens it up a little more, but now we've got that nice little purple background. Definitely looks like a Giga Drain to me. I'm gonna get these small guys again. Now, if you just want to like fill in a little spot, this is me being like super picky, but like I have this little dark spot right here. I can just click real quick and you'll get one star instead of just dragging it and getting multiple. So if I just want to fill in a couple little dark circles here or there and really just kind of add my own, get little guys, just fill in these little dark gaps here. And that way it's got a nice little even star pattern to it. Kind of like that. It's cool. All right. All right, I'm pretty happy with that. Everybody caught up?
Yep.
Cool. All right, now comes the comic booky part. We've got the effect. We've got the adjustments on the colors that we want. All right, now we go into effects, okay? And you'll see this little slider here. Scroll on over to magic. Now in here are a bunch of filters that add textures, color tones, and sometimes additional patterns as well.
Where's the magic?
Yeah, magic. So you'll find that under effects. So if you're back in your main menu here, it goes gold, tools, and then effects. So you click on effects.
Oh, I found it.
Yep, and on the bottom slider, you can scroll over. It's just past artistic. You
Perfect.
hit magic. Great.
Thank you.
Now, every picture is a little different, and I generally use about the same 3 or so. But again, there's a finesse with the sliders with these as well, because you don't want to full power each one of these because each of them have their own purpose. So the first one I usually try to start with is white ice. So I click on that, And the first thing you're going to notice is that all the colors changed, right? So if you click on that again, it'll pull up a slider. And on the right-hand side there, those 3 circles. If you click that, it'll bring back the colors that we had originally for the photo, but keep the texture effect that's added due to white ice. And this little slider here for fade will turn it off and on. And you want to just adjust how much of this you want. So for me, because I really like the colors that pop on this particular filter, I'm going to pull it down a little bit and keep some of the colors that we had and some of the colors that are added, because I like that dark. It kind of fits with the purples that we have going on, and it really makes them pop. So I'm going to keep that. I'm going to apply that filter. The next thing I do is go back into Effects, over to Magic again, and then I test out Feast. I see what Feast looks like. This one I don't like for the colors, but I do like for the texture effect. So I usually just kind of start at 100% fade and then pull it up until I see kind of a texture that I like, usually around 50 or so. And then I apply that. And again, back into Effects. Now I'm going to try, I usually try Badlands or Galaxy. Badlands adds this extra, like, see these like stripies? I don't really like the stripies. So what I do with Badlands is I kind of use it as a contrast filter. So I'll turn off the colors and I'll pull it up maybe like 15 or so, just so I don't get those stripes, but I do get the darker bits. And then I hit apply on that. And then it's usually a coin toss between Galaxy and Moonlight for my last filter. So let's see what each one of them do to this photo. Ooh, I really like what Galaxy does, but let's see what Moonlight does, because sometimes it's a little bit better. All right. Moonlight's cool too, but I think I'm going to go with Galaxy just to get those little sparkly dots. So I'm going to keep the colors that we had and pull this up just a little bit, just to get those little white dots in the background. It really makes it pop. And then hit apply. And that's pretty much it, man. The next thing I do is, if I want to like really accent more stuff to it, is I'll export this and go back into Snapseed and really mess with it some more.
Could you repeat the filters? First it was white ice, then it was feast.
Correct. And you don't usually have to do them in this order, but
Yeah.
I typically use white ice, feast, Badlands a little bit, and then either Galaxy or Moonlight. I have used other filters in the past for certain things, but I've noticed that for my particular style, those 4 or 5 are probably my favorite, because I like the textures that they bring, I like the colors and tones that they bring, and I really like the brush strokes on some of them. So those are the few that I use there. So back in Snapseed here, I'm going to pull up my new edit, and I'm going to see. I don't always keep them, but I always like to see what HDR does after that. Yeah, it kind of adds a little bit to it. And then again, I do the drama, but then pull the saturation back, and then see how it's kind of like really pulling out those tones, right? Make sure that saturation is at 0 or even +1, and maybe pull down the filter strength a little bit, and then go back into Tune Image and pull up that ambiance. And I want to pull down the shadows and up the saturation and up the contrast. All right. And that's it. That is a pop punk edit to get that nice little comic book feel. You'll notice we have our nice little Giga Drain going off here. We've got the grass in the back that's really coming through nice and sharp because of the filters we used in PicsArt. We've got the little kind of sparkly, almost fairy-like forest in the background because of that one filter. And Blossom here has nice little dark and highlights that really kind of shape her in a way that makes her feel more three-dimensional. Pretty great. I'm happy with that edit.
Nice.
All right, let's see what everyone else has got.
First victim. Come on, Caleb. You went last.
I want to see what Palo. I want to see what Palo's going with.
Okay, I'll share mine. I actually realized that you have a lot of practice in this. Like my first picture, I don't think it's too good, but I think it's cool. I think I'd like to
Not
practice
gonna judge
more.
anyone on their 15-minute edit that we do here.
Yeah, we're
Okay.
not gonna judge anyone on that.
Okay, so this is the
That's the before.
us after Snapseed, right?
Okay.
So, and this is with the Giga Drain.
Oh, I love it. Oh, that's great.
Yeah, it looks fun. I think I really like the effect. I think I have to practice with that bokeh because you make it look like a perfect stream.
It took a
And
lot of practice.
yeah,
I mean, how many of these have you seen me post? At least
yeah,
5 or 6 by now. But those are just the
exactly.
ones I've posted.
Yeah, that
I
was
have
the ones
so many
I
more I
noticed.
never have. Yeah.
That was what I noticed while making it. Like here, you can clearly see it doesn't look natural. Like I'm just practicing, of course, but
Yeah.
yeah,
There's
the
a
middle
finesse to
ground.
it.
But yeah, I really like what you did. But I liked what came out of this. So yeah, that's mine.
I dig it. I like it, Palo. All right, who's next?
Thank you.
I'll go next.
All right, Steve.
Cool. Let me just share.
I think it might help Palo to make that your little adjustment, like make your pen, like your brush smaller by the mouth, and then actually increase brush size as you go away.
Yeah, usually I go brush size smallest by the mouth, as small as it can possibly go, and then just kind of inch my way up from there.
You went with the shiny tan.
Oh, shiny tangle growth.
It's gonna be
I
nice.
love it. The positioning is already perfect.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh, dude, that's dope. I dig it. I dig it.
Nice.
Very cool.
I definitely want to add a little bit more in. But yeah.
The trees look great.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, the trees look phenomenal. I love the dark tree in the front there has a nice little natural frame for tangle growth. It's a great shot to start with. And the tree in the way back there, just between the end of the Giga Drain and the beginning of the dark tree, it just kind of catches my eye in a way that's like, oh my gosh, look at this. He's in this really magical forest. I love it. Really great job.
Dang.
That's dope.
That one
Very
could
cool,
also look
Steve.
like the absorb before like a solar beam too.
Correct. I have done this same effect for Absorb, for Giga Drain, and also for Leech Seed. In each one, I kind of stylize a little bit differently to make them kind of seem the way they do. I add more stuff to the others. This one's the easiest one.
I'll break up the grass types here and show mine because I refuse.
What did you do?
I refuse.
What did you do? Did you go with like Mawile or something? Oh, okay.
So I put in the Shadow Claw PNG before we started, obviously. So this is what it looked like after Snapseed. And then, are you holding on to your butts?
I'm holding on to my butts. Oh dear. Wow.
Yeah, it looks spooky.
I'm terrified.
It's a little Shadow Claw action. I put some space brush on the wall there on the right.
Yeah, I saw that. I love that.
And then just some twinkles over it. But I thought it would look nice because the natural, like just the shadow flames from the shadow type Pokemon in this,
that part's cool.
in this style.
One piece of advice, I would say use the whole stage. That is to say, you've got a lot of empty space in the middle there, and the hallway kind of takes the attention away from the Pokemon. So if you spread out that Giga Drain across like all the way to the space wall, I feel like if you put a nice little natural arc to it, where it's kind of almost like a funnel, where it's a little bit thin and then just kind of spreads out like that, I think it would really, really draw attention to the Pokemon itself, and it would really make everything in the image pop.
Yeah, if I knew beforehand kind of which kind of brush style we were going to use, I would just have moved the claw marks out, so it almost looked like, like shooting out claw marks instead of...
Yeah, that would have been cool too, to bring it closer. Yeah, for sure.
But that's my pretty picture.
Oop. Okay. Who's left? Elytra?
All right. I've never shared anything on my phone, so I don't even know what I'm doing. Green. I haven't.
It's not a phase, Mom.
It's not a good sign that she's disappeared, is it?
That's a pretty great sign.
Well,
Technology rules.
Did you go somewhere, babe?
on this one, are you on my?
You
Yeah,
don't have to
yeah,
do
okay,
anything
we
on
can
the,
see
on
you.
the phone you're on, just the one that you edited on.
Just the edited one.
Yeah, but I don't know how to share my screen to show you.
Oh, there's just a. Are you on the app? Are you on the
Yeah.
Zoom app?
Yes.
Right in the bottom middle, it just says green box says share.
Yeah. Well, I've got that, and I clicked screen, and it says it is.
Then you click start broadcast.
Start broadcast.
Oh, I did. It says it's screen recording.
No, not recording, sharing.
I clicked share. I clicked share.
It's Ash all over again. Ash recorded his phone for like 5 minutes before we got this.
Share. Share.
The spirit of
Screen.
Ash catch-up is with us.
And Zoom start broadcast.
Hey.
There we go.
Hey, success.
Sweet. Okay.
Oh, good choice.
Photo. Is that better? That I started with. There she is. All right. And that's what I ended up with.
Oh, I
Oh,
like
hell
it.
yeah. Love it. Very cool.
Yeah, like the
Guy's
photos.
very painty.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I guess with the filters, I'm not too sure what happened with this guy there. I think it looks cool though.
The sky, that one is definitely a result of Badlands. That's why I don't push that all the way up. But like I said, it just takes trial and error. When I came back to other edits, I'll go and look back and see this, like a sky like that or a tree like that, and I'll go, ooh, I really don't like that texture. So maybe not so harsh on Badlands, that particular filter. But everything else is really awesome. I love the way your funnel looks with the Giga Drain. You evened out the spacing from the small to the big. It feels like it's coming towards the person viewing the image. Pretty great. It even though she doesn't have a mouth, it's very clear. It's very clear that this energy is dispelling from her, which is very cool. I like the little twinkle stars in the trees in the background. Adds to the finesse of a magical forest, even though it's kind of in a field as well. It's cool. The swing set's a little distracting, but I think
We're working with what we had, I guess.
exactly. I think
Yeah.
she looks great, and it kind of takes most of the focus away, which is great. Yeah, great job.
Thank you.
Cool.
Geostorm, you got something to share?
What do you got,
let me
Geostorm?
see what I can do here. If I do a photo itself, is it going to send to you guys, or is that showing to anyone?
Yeah.
Yeah, there we go. Hey, that looks awesome. Very cool.
Yeah, it's got some nice like Starry Night vibes going on.
Yeah. There is a Starry Night filter in PicsArt, which I have used on occasion because for certain things it does work. But that is very cool. I like that.
He looks very
looks
happy
cool.
about to murder us.
Yes, that's what I'm going for. Very cool. The only advice I'd give for this one, it looks like the effect is going straight down. So like I said, it comes with practice to kind of figure out the way in which you want the projectile to go, whether it's water or fire, or in this case, some kind of draining solution. For me, it would make most sense to make it kind of bell curve, almost like a slide, like down and then up towards the person. So I would put some heavy, not very opaque effects starting from its mouth, maybe down to its feet, and then about halfway from its feet to the viewing screen. Really widen that out and make everything bigger, but also really opaque, really see-through, so that it looks like it's literally coming straight at us. That's definitely a more advanced tutorial, but for a first timer, I really dig this. This is really cool. I like seeing happy grass type Pokemon really just kind of murdering things. Very good job.
Awesome. Thank you.
All right, that's everybody, yeah?
Well, that wraps up the tutorial, I believe, for the evening.
Yay. Did we stay under 30?
We're getting there.
Yay.
I actually didn't note what time we started this time exactly.
That's
But myself, PopPunk, Pelo, Mythical, Pokemon, London AR, we're all on Instagram. You can find those links below. Geostorm, actually, I believe you do a podcast, right?
Yeah, it's called Augmented Naturally. I try and do various things, health, nature, and a few other things too. Working on getting it back on track though.
Cool. I'll make sure to get a link from you for that, and we'll get like whatever the latest episode, or if you have like a doc with all the episodes, we'll get that down in the description below. So as always, appreciate everyone watching and everyone joining tonight. Hopefully we'll get another one on the books here soon, and we'll bring you some more tips and tricks in the future.
This was fun. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks for teaching, JC. I loved it.
I hope you all learned something.
You did, I promise.
You're still a jerk. That's all I learned. All right. And we